week more on Halo Talks NYC. I have the pleasure of bringing on Larry, coming in from Fort Myers. We're going to talk about pickleball, we're going to talk about children's books, and we're going to talk about helping the society at large get more active, get more social, and make change from a grassroots level. So Larry, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be with you, Peter. Thank you.
Awesome. So you got involved in pickleball back in 2019, if I've got my notes here correctly. So what was the instigator to get you onto the pickleball court? And it was a trade-off from any other sport, or was it additive?
Well, it was a little bit of a trade-off, but it was mostly an intervention from a friend. Bill Reese, the founder of Pickleball in Cincinnati, who just passed away a couple of months ago, 92 years old. He and another guy saw some challenges that I was going through in terms of caring for my deceased wife, who had a brain tumor. And I was focused pretty much on, working at the time, trying to navigate care, and had played some racquetball, kind of gave that up. And Bill and a friend said, "Hey, I want to introduce you to something." And it was pickleball. So I showed up, and they befriended me, didn't even have a paddle, took a liking to the sport, started playing it a lot. It was great emotional therapy. It was community therapy. I'd gotten a little soft from the standpoint of physical activity, and it re-energized me. But especially the community component associated with the sport that has really, I think, driven me into the arena that I am now. And that is writing children's books to elevate the sport in people's minds as a means to grow physically, spiritually, emotionally. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a challenge. And pickleball was a vehicle for me to recover, to embrace others, to get out of my soft spot, and was the capstone, or if you will, the foundation to my mission in writing children's books to build up the next generation, younger people, to play pickleball. And so that's kind of the mission of what I'm involved in right now. And my vehicle, my bridge, is writing children's books with critters. So that answers your first question.
Love it. I'm sorry to hear about the life challenges you went through. I think we've all got stories of, the roller coaster rides that we've been on. I don't think anybody's got a highlight reel and a low light reel that are produced the same way. So, I hear you. And I've also seen a lot of people embrace pickleball with not realizing how important the social dynamic and how powerful it is. And the fact that you could get 30 or 40 people, to show up in the morning, because I think the alternative is that they probably don't leave their house. And I think that's the most important part, that I think loneliness is the biggest issue in the healthcare industry. And that's why we've kind of devoted a lot of our time, when we use the term HALO as the acronym, Health, Active, Lifestyle, Outdoors. We basically pinned the O of outdoors to pickleball.
Right.
And there was a stat that came out last year. I think United Healthcare or something came out and said there's an additional $500 million worth of medical expenses related to injuries on the pickleball court. And I was shocked that whoever wrote the article didn't make a reference to say, and there's probably $5 billion worth of benefits, on the other side of that might go into other portals of injuries or, longevity issues, or people doing things that are harmful to themselves. As you kind of look at the market, and I went to the US Open, there are kids that are 11 years old playing one-on-one pickleball. And, they could have been great tennis players, or they could have been on a soccer team. So, as you look at the spectrum of ages, and you look at pickleball and you say, I would never go bowling with a 9-year-old, right? But I have no problem playing pickleball against a 9-year-old. Where does that come from?
You're absolutely right. I don't think there's any other sport right now where you could play with a 9-year-old or a 19-year-old or a 90-year-old and still have fun
Yeah.
and not be in a spirit of judgment or, hey, you just missed a shot or you're not of the right age or size to play this sport. To give you an illustration, a year ago, December, I played in a tournament down at Naples. And tournament was over, was fortunate enough. We got third place in the 60 plus age range. And I hung around just talking to folks as we left. And I took a little video of this. There was two kids, maybe 9, 10, 11 years old, two brothers just playing. And I just stopped and watched them, took a little picture, and they took a break. And I said, hey, you guys, good for you. You're just having fun. And they were joking with one another and encouraging one another. And that's what pickleball is all about. And the side of the coin is a 92-year-old Bill Reese, who basically 3 weeks up to his death when he died of pneumonia, the founder of pickleball in Cincinnati, was still out on the court. He taught people, he encouraged people, and that is something very unique to pickleball. I'm not saying other sports do not have special dynamics to them, but I just think there's something about pickleball that is very different and very positive for all ages. So, and my focus is on the younger folks, including those that have said to themselves, I can't play. I have ADHD. I'm in a wheelchair. I have autism. Well, guess what? They can play.
Yeah.
And they can be encouraged to play, and they can get a new identity and a new sense of purpose and engagement and love and support because of pickleball.
Yeah. I don't know if there's an answer to this, or maybe you'll come up with something that, is like the story behind the story. But I played in many golf tournaments where people got an attitude problem or they got an ego, and you just feel like the culture of this golf, course and this like the clubhouse, like have all these like rules, and you can kind of feel like, is my shirt collar not good enough? Is is it not, are my pants not like golf approved? Do they not like my hat because it doesn't have like the golf course name on it? And you feel like so much anxiety just by like going in there thinking like, am I going to do anything to like get this member like, kicked out or like disciplined, right? I've got some people I've shown up in a golf club that, bro, you can't wear this. Like, oh my God, I can't like bring you. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I think I'm dressed fine. How did pickleball, in every place I've been to play pickleball, how is the cultural DNA the same everywhere you go, where people are so welcoming and so interested in bringing you in that there's like a no judgment zone everywhere you go? How did that happen? Or how do you
I think it started with the foundation of pickleball in 1965, when the founders said, we need to create a sport here for our kids because they're bored. Right. So they took nets and paddles and created a sport, and it was the neighbors that came and played and the friends of the family. And so on the other side of the world, 5 years ago, when my wife was still living, one of our last trips, we went to Edinburgh, Scotland. Mm-hmm. We toured Scotland. We flew into Edinburgh, and I sent a note to the lady who was in charge of the pickleball club in Edinburgh. And I showed up, and it was just like I was home.
Yeah.
They welcomed me. We played. It was fun. There were people from all dynamics, all ages. One was a food editor for the local newspaper. And we had halftime, which was unusual. We don't do halftime here with pickleball. And we had cookies and hot tea. Mm-hmm. That was the only difference. But I could have just closed my eyes and pretended I was back home playing at Sawyer Point in Cincinnati. And the dynamic was absolutely the same. I wish I had an answer to that. Maybe it's just something about the DNA of the sport that is non-judgmental. Is everybody perfect? No. Are there some weirdos out there? Yeah. Are those that are maybe a little bit too extreme? Yes. But that's going to be in any sport. Right. But you show up in jeans, or you can show up with any kind of clothes and play. Yeah. And it's simple. It's really not a complicated sport, which I think is one of the beauties.
I read an article the other day that I was disturbed by. And it was someone in the pickleball industry saying we need to rename the sport to make it more serious. I don't know if you saw that, but we think that it's too hokey to use the word pickle. We should come up with a more professional name. And I was thinking, like, it's so big right now. Like, that, don't touch it. You know, like there's certain things that need to be renamed. For politically correct reasons that haven't been renamed, like plantations down in the South are still called plantations, which is bizarre to me. But, it seems like, look, just let it be. Like if you're going to tinker with something, like don't touch that.
Well, you do know why it's called pickleball. And I have it from the source that it is named after the dog. There's a lot of debate as to how it got its name.
Yep.
But I spoke 2 years ago fall. I went out to Bainbridge Island to research my third book, Ollie Visits Where It All Started, which is Bainbridge. So I spent 2 weeks there with my now wife and just toured the island and had a chance, through connections to meet Scott and Carol Stover. Carol's related to Barney McCallum, one of the founders. Mm-hmm. And they were so gracious to me. They let me play on the court. They opened the box where they have some of the original paddles and memorabilia, and it touched me because of my books. They had them in the box, which means people see these books. And at the end, I said, Scott, I need to ask a question. Tell me the truth. From your perspective, is it true that the name of the sport is named after the dog? And he said, yes. And of course, there's always, and now's not the time to go over that, but there were two dogs. One was Pickle and one was Lulu. Fortunately, Pickle's the one that went after the balls and not Lulu, because I'm not sure Lulu ball would sound really, I don't know, Pickle's more cute. Plus, I love the name because in my third book, Pickle's grandson, who we named Dilly, okay, you get it? Dilly's in my third book. I don't know what I would have done if it was Lulu. I don't know. So I get lucky. But the truth is it's pickleball because of the dog.
So we wrote a book, and my partner, and we got a caricaturist named Mark, and we wrote a book a couple of years ago called Time to Win Again. And it's basically
I've read it. I did the Kindle. I mentioned to David some of the chapters that I really like.
Oh,
excellent book. Awesome. Very, very good book. Simple.
Yeah, that's how I believe things should be in life. I don't know if he disclosed to you, but we've got a pickleball book coming out in about a month. That's called Time to Pickle Again. And it's 52 takeaways from pickleball to ensure longevity, health, and happiness, I think is our tagline there.
Congratulations.
Thank you. When you take a look at the books that you're writing, and your audience is obviously children, what are some of the themes that you're trying to analogize, or what are some of the things that you're trying to get across that are important to you when you put together a children's book? I've never written a children's book. I've obviously read several of them, to my nieces and nephews over the years. But what are some of the things that, what your mission is, what you've gone through, that you want to basically lay some seeds without necessarily getting too deep with kids?
Got to keep it simple with kids. You got to keep it fun. Got to relate it to critters. So I have Ollie Otter. I have all kinds of critters that are in each of the books. But to address your question specifically, the themes in book one are that in any family situation, whether a critter is raised by new parents, having lost its original parents, in the case of Ollie, or in the case of Alana, the llama, her mother couldn't have children. And Alana lost her mother and was adopted. Robbie the raccoon is raised by his grandmother. And so no matter the family situation, in each case, the critter in book one discovers pickleball by introduction by another family member or other loving friends. And that's a total new dynamic to their lives. So no matter what the family situation, pickleball can serve as a bridge to encouragement and community. The second theme that I resonate is that anyone can play pickleball. So the four critters in book one meet in Cincinnati by chance, and they fell in love with each other in a loving way, of course, and pickleball. They go back home to their respective countries as ambassadors for pickleball. They want to set up community groups. They want to expand pickleball among their friends, the school. And in each case, they didn't plan this, but they run into another critter that struggles in some fashion. So Sammy the Sloth, Ollie introduces Sammy the Sloth to pickleball, even though he sees him in the workout arena outside in the playground, and says, hey, you look really athletic. And Sammy, says, well, you see that over there? That's my wheelchair.
Wow.
There's no way I can play pickleball. Well, he doesn't take no for an answer. So he carts him down to the pickleball courts. Long story short, Sammy ends up starting a wheelchair pickleball team in that community. So the themes are, no matter what your family situation, no matter in your mind what you physically think you might not be able to do, whatever that challenge might be, you can still find home, strength, community, and support through pickleball. Pickleball is a vehicle, and it's people that bring them together that enables that to happen.
Can you talk a little bit about your background? What were you doing before the children's books and before the 2019 Cincinnati introduction to pickleball?
I was a financial advisor. Probably the least likely person to ever write pickleball books, or let alone children's books. I mean, when I started telling my kids that I wanted to give it a try, they said, Dad, just stick to your marketing stuff and to your, financial stuff. And I said, well, I just have a sense of a purpose and a vision to give this a try.
Mm-hmm.
So I did. So book 4 is now in the works. It'll be out this fall. All the critters have a family reunion, or a critter reunion in Cincinnati, because that's where they met for the first time. And I'll just give you a little hint. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And Ollie's going to discover a new group to help. So I have a background that's not even related to writing children's books.
Well, I think you're an authority on it. So thanks for just doing it.
There's a message there. It's just like you're stepping out, Peter.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. When you've been in business for a long time, you know how distribution works, you know what it costs to build a brand, you know what it costs to put an inventory into, books into, whatever channel. How have you thought about either getting these books into, pickleball pro shops or into health club operators that have, pickleball courts that they've just introduced, like Lifetime, or you just do everything online and you say, those who are searching will find it?
I've learned in this 4-year process from a lot of mistakes, thinking I could take on the world with this book, with these books. I didn't really have a specific plan that said, okay, here's where they're going to go. But what has evolved is twofold. Number one, I start in Cincinnati and partner with organizations that have a mission comparable to mine. And we partner with them. And so I support them, and then they buy my books and they introduce the books to the kids. I am doing pro shops in Cincinnati. My books and my T-shirts are all at the Naples Pickleball Club, pro shop down there. I sent a picture to David of my little thing. And here's a little old me, with a corner of the pro shop down there that has my shirts and my books, because Rob Stroman liked my story. He believes in what I'm doing. My books very soon will now have national distribution through Ingram. So I've learned along the way, just A, not to give up, and B, work on partnerships. I can't sell the whole world myself, but if I can partner with those that have comparable missions, then there's synergy. They like what I'm doing, I like what they're doing, we work together, and it's a win-win for both of us. So that's kind of my strategy going forward.
And then one other question I had for you, As you know, we're on the investment side. You've got a background as a financial advisor. There are a lot of groups out there raising money at what I deem ridiculous valuations to have private pickleball clubs and $2,000 initiation fees and $200 or $300 a month. Thankfully, the municipalities have gotten in front of that potential price hurdle by building these courts for free.
Right.
And I'm hoping that given the supply demand, that there will be an oversupply that will allow everyone to play who wants to play. Like you're talking about, people that may be, disadvantaged. And also, just to carry on to that point, my godson plays baseball. And I went into Dick's Sporting Goods the other day. The price to play baseball now is ridiculous, right? Because now I get like a hand sleeve that, costs $80 to slide into second base. I've got the bat that used to be, an aluminum bat with Easton for like $60. That's like $300 now, right? I got a glove that used to be $30 from Rawlings, and now that's $200, right? So it's almost like they're pricing people out. And also, I'm shocked that Amazon Prime, you can't watch a Thursday night football game if I'm a kid that my parents can't afford to get, this other streaming video. And now I am missing opportunities to watch things I love or learn or say that I did it because I'm getting priced out of certain sports. Do you view this like growth of pickleball as like a country club, as almost like, I don't want to use the term Death Star, but like I'm a Star Wars guy, right? So I'm thinking it's like, is this like the big bad wolf trying to like over commercialize pickleball and create like a social class where the point of pickleball was to stay away from that? What's your thoughts on that? Just as like a trend.
This is a concern. Yeah. This is a concern I personally have, and I know a lot of my fellow pickleballers have, in terms of, what is the core of pickleball and what could be a detriment to the sport. I don't have an answer as to where all this is going to go. But as you know, in any sport or any entity where money can be involved and profits can be generated and large investors are involved, there's a subtle change that may be taking place. I hope the USAPA, the United States Pickleball Association, and the other affiliated entities step back and realize what we do have, and we don't lose that. But yes, I talked to a lot of people in the industry, and there is a subtle concern that could take it over. Yep. But as long as people can buy a paddle and put on some shoes, any kind of shoes, and have the desire to show up at the local recreation center, inside or outside, or at a court like Sawyer Point, downtown Cincinnati, where you have 24 outdoor courts through the park board, and people want to just show up and play, they're going to still show up and play. Yep. And there's going to be more of that than there is of perhaps the professional side who is incentivized by something other than just community and recreation. So I do believe that as long as the core grows, and again, our generation here, I don't expect I'm going to be playing pickleball in 20 years. But if I can help bring along younger people, which is the core mission of Alleviate Enterprises, to build up the next generation of pickleball players, it's going to be younger players who discover its benefits as well.
Yeah, and when we came up with the term Halo, as we talked about before, when someone's like, "What do you do? Like, what's your mission?" My mom used to tell me that, selling health clubs, is that like a real profession? What else are you going to do? And I'm like, look, this it's bigger. It's getting much bigger. We looked at Halo. We said, look, anything that solves loneliness, obesity and diabetes, those companies or those sports or those ventures need to get a mouthpiece, need to either get investment or need to at least be, eccentric, exposed to the market, because you don't have childhood obesity and diabetes, type 2 diabetes for an 11-year-old or a 12-year-old who's playing pickleball. Like, it just won't happen. So from a standpoint of this sport, I think this sport is almost like a catch-all for those three issues, where I don't think there's anything else that exists that actually catches all three.
I agree with you.
I've yet to find it.
I agree with you. And I don't know if you read this, but in the new smartphone from Apple, it's going to be able to track pickleball, not just your activity and steps, but you'll be able to select pickleball as a sport. So it'll track your heart rate and your steps associated with that sport. So that just shows you where pickleball is right now.
Yeah.
On the new Apple smartphone.
Awesome. Well, look, we'll be down in Naples for the Open again. We did an Airbnb a block away last time. So we're going to have our book out there. Let's definitely collaborate. And
I would love to collaborate with you, Peter. Yeah. I think there's a lot of synergy. I think there's a lot of things we could do together.
Yeah.
Congratulations on what you're doing.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. We're just really excited about it. And I think it's going to take evangelists like yourself to get that next generation out there. I think these kids' books are brilliant. And I think, once you get kids hooked on this sport, people don't say, like, I used to play pickleball. No one ever says that. And I don't think that's ever something that people are going to say. So thanks for coming on, man. Look forward to meeting you in person. Keep doing what you're doing.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for the time and the opportunity to meet you both.
Awesome.